Hello and welcome back to Great British Biking Adventures. If you're new here, we're travelling the whole of the English and Welsh coastline on our motorcycle and documenting it in this YouTube series that we've simply called Coast. In the last episode we rode through Blackpool, showing why it's a brilliant place to visit. We're nearing the end of this day that we've covered in the last 4 episodes. Last night we stayed at a great old inn because the night before we had a bit of a camping disaster.
I've had the tent for years, didn't check it out before we came, and the poles are already in bad condition when we first set it up. As you can see, I think we now have a bit of a problem. Don't know if you can see that, but that snapped off. We're already in dire straits with it, to be honest with you. Looking at that.
We're planning on camping tonight, but don't know where yet. But first we need to get that tent pole sorted. We couldn't find a replacement in Blackpool. We have to go into Preston anyway to get round the River Ribble, so popped in to go outdoors. They were great and went above and beyond to get our poor old tent mended and as good as new. Had we known what was to come, we would have found a room somewhere. Got to get over that river, that's why we came into Preston in the first place.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Because we would have to have come here whatever, not just to go outdoors to get our tent pole. Don't know what river it is. But...
Ribble.
Oh, the River Ribble. Ribble. What a great name.
Cool.
Gonna be here all day, aren't we?
Hopefully not.
No, hopefully not.
One eternity later.
We're not wet, honest. It's just everything else is.
Take a look at this.
We have a flood underneath the tent.
It's like a waterbed.
Wow, this is certainly a big storm. And the back of the tent where the wind has stopped now, but just now there was a massive sweep of wind through, wasn't there?
It was, yes.
And it's blown the outside, whatever sheet it's called, onto the inner tent, and that wall is now all wet, and our bedding was next to it at that point, which we didn't notice, and now we have a wet sleeping bag. Oh dear, it'll pass in a minute.
Well, it's stopped raining, but we can still hear the thunder, but it's in the distance. It's not over us anymore, is it?
Oh my goodness.
So we are
flooded.
Underwater. Okay, going out?
Well no, I've got wet feet.
I mean, we are properly underwater.
We're in a fish pond. We're flooded.
We are flooded.
Yeah, we've camped in the lowest part of the field.
You're right, the bloody puddle there.
Yeah, I know. We couldn't have chosen a better place, could we? Look at us. We're just discussing whether or not we should move. I think we... Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Let's do it.
So we're going to move our tent out of the flood.
Oh, clear that stuff.
Yeah. So we've had an absolute downpour and a really big storm, and we pitched our tent just here. It's no longer here because now the rain stopped. We've just moved it because we pitched in a puddle. Well, it wasn't a puddle when we pitched, and then we got this downpour, and the ground's so hard it hasn't drained away. It's just like, look, loads of it. Oh, is that nice? Hello, Juno. So we've moved to slightly higher ground just here, which doesn't have any puddles around it, and we're repitching. Thankfully, this all happened just as we'd finished, well, pitching, but we didn't get any water in the tent. Jared suddenly remembered that he needed to secure the bike, and he put a plate underneath the stand, because if the ground got really soft the bike would have fallen over. A convenient road going all the way along the front, isn't it?
Yeah, very good. Yeah. I like the way the pier starts down there by the looks of it.
Oh yeah.
It goes over the road. It's unusual. Opened in August 1860, Southport Pier is the oldest iron pier in the country and is the second longest in Great Britain after Southend Pier. Before finding fame in Hollywood, Charlie Chaplin performed here in the early 20th century. Just over half of it is over land and even crosses an inland lake, but it wasn't always like this. When it opened in 1860, the entrance was at the water's edge. The silting in the water channel has become so substantial that it's been built on, and the road we're riding along has been made. The pier fell into disrepair throughout the late 20th century, and by 1990 it was operating at a significant annual loss with rising maintenance costs. The local council sought to have the pier demolished, but were defeated in their attempt by a single vote. It's got a different feel about it, isn't it? It's all wide open.
Yes.
A lot of rough ground.
Yeah, open space, yeah.
It's nice. It's very nice. It reminds me of some of the seaside towns in Europe. A bit like this, aren't they? Down that French coast.
Yes.
The French Atlantic coast.
Oh, the Vendée, is it?
Yeah. Certainly none of the sort of quaintness about some of the seaside towns, or the sort of Victorian ness, you know, about it. Just,
Yeah.
but still nice, you know.
Yeah.
It's still very good.
Yeah, it's not a seafront with rows and rows of colourful bed and breakfasts, was it?
No.
It's a different type of seafront.
Our observations obviously didn't take into account the fact that we were riding along a relatively new piece of land. Southport has all the usual Victorian seafront architecture along a road a quarter of a mile inland from here. That was it. Southport.
Southport.
Hope you enjoyed it.
On to the next one.
We'll make a whole episode out of that.
Talking about every single building that we saw. Boring everybody to pieces.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. Hopefully our little snippets of history you find interesting. We certainly do.
This is Ainsdale Beach. Onto our left is the back of Pontins, which I suppose is the major competitor to Butlins.
Car park closed
due to high tides. Should we get off and have a quick look? Ainsdale Sands, as it is properly known, is regarded as the best stretch of beach on this section of coast between the Ribble estuary and Liverpool. The wide open wind-swept miles of flat sands and surf provide the ideal environment for all kinds of activities such as horse riding, kite buggy and surfing. The sand dunes support around 450 plant species, some of which are rare. In 1971, there was an altogether different kind of wildlife gathering on this beach, thanks to Granada TV and two legendary British folk rock bands. The TV company had planned a small 30-minute concert featuring Fairport Convention and Steel Eye Span. They just wanted a small audience of around 200, but according to some reports, as many as 10,000 people turned up, many after the gig had finished. According to legend, the stage was burned down in protest after people realised there wasn't a free festival. Paul Curtis is to Liverpool what Banksy is to Bristol. Since 2017, Paul has created more than 200 pieces of public art, largely in Liverpool and the Wirral, but also across the UK. He holds the record for the largest painting ever painted in the UK. Have you guessed the connection yet? It's the building we parked alongside that is completely covered with a mural. It's called Ainsdale Sand Lizards.
So we've gone off the beaten track slightly because we're in the area of the native squirrels to England, the red squirrels. There's a couple of reserves and this is one of them. I believe the other is on the Isle of Wight. See if they're out to play today. It's literally got us within 0.7 of a mile down this road. Well, the first one of the day. Yesterday I think we saw loads. 10. Across the railway about 25 times. Here he comes, little local poodle, Merseyrail. Thought there was going to be another one for a minute. So those of you that don't live in England, you may be wondering, well, what squirrels have we got then? So we have the grey squirrel, which is grey, but it does have sometimes a little bit of red fleck in it because the grey squirrels are a stronger squirrel straight on than the red, and they basically took over, and our little native red squirrel got pushed out by the grey squirrels. Thankfully we do have some red squirrels left. Members Park Free National Trust. Well, we were once a member, it's not open anyway, so let's go on in. And this is the reserve where we might see them. We're early in the morning, so maybe that's a good time, because as it gets hotter they'll probably just go to sleep. Keep your eyes peeled. I was right about the Isle of Wight, and there are other islands and isolated places where red squirrels can be found. For example, Brownsea Island in Dorset, and isolated pockets in the Lake District, Northumberland and Anglesey. However, according to the website Reclaiming Reds, this place is the top place in the UK to see our lovely red squirrels.
Hiya. Right. Where's the best place to see the squirrels? They're all over, are they?
I mean, I've worked here for a few months now and I still haven't seen a red squirrel.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Rare, so I couldn't really tell, to be fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They're very secretive.
Oh yeah, there's not many either. I think there's only like 100 maybe or something, or 50.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, okay. In that case,
We might not
we'll
linger.
carry on. Yeah, we were hoping we would sit down, have a cup of coffee and see a red squirrel.
I mean, if you're lucky maybe, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Time, but yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank
no
you.
worries. No worries. Thank you.
Oh. Well, that answers that question. They don't like to come out on demand.
So he said he'd been working here for months, 2 months, and he hadn't seen a red squirrel yet.
And he also said he didn't think there was that many, maybe 50 or 100, which is nothing really, is it? Such a shame. Well, that was a disappointment. Nothing to see here. But all is not lost. Don't despair, because later on in a future episode we do see red squirrels, and it was awesome. But interestingly, where we encountered them doesn't come up on any internet search. Oh, the board's outside.
I thought I saw the door open. It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Door's open.
So we've been going for an hour, which of course is ages, so it's time to stop for a drink. So this is the place, the Harrington.
Yeah.
Doesn't open until 9:30, and it's just gone 9, so we're not going to hang around. We're going to get our bike rolling again. Off we go. Jared will just have to wait a bit longer for his coffee.
We're coming down to Formby lifeboat. Not quite sure what to expect here. I think there's a car park. There you go. Welcome to Formby.
Lifeboat Road and Ravens Meols and Local Nature Reserve.
Don't think there's a cafe or anything.
No.
Which is fine. We'll continue.
We will.
Coast Guard. Paying display at the meter. Wind farm.
Yeah. And oh, I think, what is that? Okay, soldiers, Jared, on the beach.
Oh yeah, that's it said Anthony Gormley's It's got a name. It's an art installation by Anthony Gormley.
I was looking and thinking, what is that? I realised.
I'm not sure it's going to be soldiers, but it might be.
No, maybe it's not the typical soldier look. They look more like bare bodies. It's called Another Place. Jared was right. It's a piece of modern sculpture by British artist Anthony Gormley, and they are bare bodies. 100 cast iron replicas of Gormley's own body facing towards the sea. Make of that what you will. After being exhibited at 2 other locations, it was put on display here at Crosby in July 2005. The work proved controversial and was resisted for a number of reasons. In October 2006, the local council refused to give permission for the statues to stay, but this decision was appealed and they have stayed put since.
Well, if there ever was a place where you could set up a cafe, it's got to be here.
Yeah.
I never did get my coffee that morning. Join us next week as we make our way into Liverpool.